It is a crisp late fall day in Gdansk, Poland, just above the freezing mark, but it is absolutely beautiful outside. I guess there's a good and a bad. We are inside, but it's for a very good reason. Hi everybody, Gavin Day here. Stop number 3 of the ISU Short Track World Tour. The Hala Olivia is the venue. Alongside me, Catherine Reuter-Adamek, a couple times Winter Olympic medalist. And Catherine, we've made it through the qualifying rounds, and now it is showtime.
Show time. It's time for those medal rounds today. We are starting with some repechage rounds, so great opportunity. You can make it to the final event through the repechage rounds. So we will see a few skaters here progressing on to the main event this afternoon. Everyone that is not progressing on is at least earning those points, getting experience, because every lap counts on the road to the Olympics.
You see the schedule. We had some marathon days yesterday, but with the repechage, it's a quick little warm-up. We have the men's 1,500-meter repechage quarterfinals, and then the semis, and in between there, the women's 1,000-meter repechage semis, and then in between there, a couple of breaks, and then the men's 500-meter repechage quarterfinals, another quick break, and then the semifinals, and then we break for lunch, and then it will be the World Tour session this afternoon. And so it's just some quick little races in, as I mentioned, and then we will get primed for the big time. Some fans are already in here, but we're expecting a really fun atmosphere this afternoon. Not that those who are here have not made it a little fun. They are really an animated crowd here in Poland, but like I said, we're all really excited for the medal rounds this afternoon.
Really excited, and remember, because we are looking for Olympic qualifying country spots, these races are still critical. What would we say the other day? It's repechage semifinals that will get you
sort of in that top
yes.
32 for most events, top 36 for the 1,500. So if you're in those repechage semifinals, you're already kind of in that area, but then of course anything above that is just extra good for your Olympic qualification aspirations.
Absolutely, and so those official Olympic qualification spots will be announced after the results are finalized next week. But, you know, the majority of athletes aren't going to the Olympics to be Olympic medalists. The majority of athletes are going to the Olympics to represent their country. And so that's what we're really looking at this morning, is that medals may not be in the line, but Olympic berth spots are. And I would say 99% of athletes are. We all want to be Olympians, but to be an Olympic medalist is this whole other level. But let's not forget what a great accomplishment just to qualify your country for those Olympic spots.
And given the increasing international nature of this sport, with so many teams really coming to the fore, also an opportunity for some of these smaller programs to get sort of in the shop window in their home countries, in an Olympics, turn some heads and say, get kids out saying, well, that's a really fun sport. Let's get into it. And then, you know, we get to see potentially more countries really becoming bigger programs, which I just love.
I love as well, and that's a big reason for the repechage rounds, is that the way it was previously, only 2 or 3 skaters from each country would get to race, and the 3 that were there as alternates or as relay skaters, they weren't getting the opportunity to develop international skill sets. And so by adding the repechage rounds into the main event, not only do you give opportunities for skaters to progress into the main event who maybe had a bad couple qualifying days, but you also give athletes who aren't quite there yet opportunity to develop their skills, to raise the bar, raise the level of the sport, so that more countries, especially these smaller countries, can still have great success.
First skaters are out onto the ice. The men's 1,500 meters. There are 10 heats in all. First placed skater from each race, and a maximum 4 fastest second place skaters qualify for the repechage semifinals. And then when it is the repechage, there will just be a couple of heats in the semis and really no margin for error there. So a small opportunity for some second place skaters to get through, but we always have that asterisk. Once penalties and advancements happen, then those times kind of go out the window, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well,
a lot of clean racing.
Absolutely. And a mentally tough athlete is only focused on what they can control, and nobody can control penalties or advancements, but what they can control is the pace and the effort of their own race, which is why again, sometimes it comes down to strategy and tactics, but sometimes we see the pace really being pushed, and that's an effort every athlete can be proud of, regardless of if it progresses to the next round or not.
Been whistled to the line. It's a big weekend in Gdansk. The city's massive Christmas market opened last night. It's something like 200 plus stalls. We got to check it out last night, and it lived up to all of my expectations, and just a great atmosphere, and hoping for another great atmosphere this weekend here. You see heat number 1, Ivchenko, Shin, Ors, Kokelko, Karabin, Ong, and Moon.
Go to the start. Ready.
And even with this being a repechage quarterfinal, there are some guys who we know can bring the speed. A guy like Moon has been really an animator this season. Shin as well, Dennis Ors. So not the swiftest of openings, and so these guys from the early strides looking like it's going for that one position in the back of their minds.
Well, and remember in the 1500, this is considered the endurance event. It's typically around a 2.5 minute race. So correct, this is a slow pace. They don't seem to be going for time, but we still have coming up on 12 laps to pick up this pace and do it progressive. Progressive is one of the strategies that a leader of a race can do. They can also do it what's called a tempo. Tempos are typically the faster races because you're not having to, look right now we're at a 13.49, so they're gonna have to do an 8.49 at the end if they wanna offset that slow start. Whereas a tempo speed, you might start around 10 or 11, that's not so hard, but to do that for 13 laps straight does give an ultimately faster finish time.
Ivchenko, the youngster on that Kazakh Nomad side, he is 24 years old. They have a lot of veteran skaters, guys who have been on the old World Cup, have succeeded on the old World Cup, and Ivchenko has been a guy we've seen in a lot of races. Right now it is Wonjun Moon of the Hungarian Falcons staking a place at the front.
Dongmin Shin staying in second, which is the right place to be in a race like this. We've been sharing throughout the weekend, the ice conditions here are fluctuating as the week goes on of training, as the weekend has gone on in competition. So always wanting to stay. Ors now moving to the front. So expect a counterattack from Moon or Shin any moment now.
And there it is. Moon gets back. Ors is a guy who we've seen some very good top-end speed, and I'm sure he must have been pretty pleased to see the slow start, but now the rubber really starting to hit the road with Ivchenko back into second. That did force Ors out wide, and our first review of the day up on the board. Ivchenko in third, Shin Dong-min into second for the Korean White Tigers, but right now still Moon off the front.
Both skaters swinging arms, showing some effort here, really fighting for the finish. Is Shin gonna make it on the outside?
Moon defends, and off goes Shin into the boards. They went shoulder to shoulder, and Shin just kind of bounced off Moon. I'm not sure what happened there. We sort of didn't get that angle where you could sort of see through there, but there was definitely some sort of contact, and Shin went flying, and he's grabbing his knee a little bit. That was a pretty high speed going off there.
Yes, definitely, and we can take a peek back at the track pattern here. So let's watch Shin and Moon. They're moving to the front quite comfortably. Shin in first here, Moon now, and Ors tucking up into third.
This might be the first review here with Ivchenko going up on Ors.
He's inside that blue line, trying to get back out in time for that first block. So there is an inside to out happening there at the same time. You can't off track, and there's the bump between Moon and Shin. It doesn't look egregious. Let's get this other angle. There is a hand. Ooh, it's so hard to tell.
Yeah, where was Shin in all this? He doesn't look like he was around. These guys were side by side. It just shows you the various things that our officials have to look at. And Michel Dumont, our lead official, has had a pretty good weekend. He's one of those guys who's really taken a lot of time there to make sure the results are accurate, working with that room there. There is Monsieur Dumont.
And so what we just saw there from the overhead angle, that's probably the best angle to see what really. There's a couple things happening. So first of all, Moon is doing what's called a deep track. That's a defensive track. It's a bit of a trick because you have to turn left at some point, otherwise you'll run into the boards. So what the lead skater can do is hold the straight line a little longer than is comfortable, and especially when a skater is passing on the outside. That skater has so much speed, they have to turn. So there's a point where the outside skater must change their trajectory. If the inside skater hasn't changed their trajectory yet, we see contact. Now, sometimes that's a bit of a forced contact. That's why it gets reviewed as a potential penalty. Sometimes that's good strategy and tactics. There's always a little bit of gray in the middle. And it looks like they're looking at a possible advancement, but also possibly no call. So we will have to wait for the official review. There's the step out. That's the deep track. What we can't see there is, does Moon's right hand touch shin as he's attempting the pass? And more than that, you're allowed to swing your arm as an athlete. So is that just a normal arm swing coming around the turn, or is there what's called an arm block, where there's clearly a stiff arm or a hand flick? Let's find out.
And there you go. They're not going to announce anything in the end. Both just racing incidents. And so it's Moon moving on. Ivchenko getting into second. Nobody penalized. And so 2:33.868. So even if it was something like shared responsibility, they would have announced that. But in the end, where there's just, no, it's just, this is racing.
This is racing.
They just move along, and we move along to heat number 2. A couple of Norwegian Vikings. Eirik Andersen, Linus August Rusnes, Daniel Nikolaev, the independent athlete, Peter Riches, Su Junpeng, Lin Chun-che of the Chinese Taipei Blue Magpies, Tibor Komarichki, the lone Slovenian Goldhorn.
You see skaters making adjustments to their helmets. They do have a dial on the back. They can change the tightness and the looseness, and it's shockingly distracting when your helmet's not fitting right.
Ready.
And thank you for that. On the subject of helmets, I've mentioned it a few times, but just because it's so easy to spot, the Peter Riches Maverick helmet. The designer of that helmet came up to me yesterday, introduced himself. He's a British skater, Matt. And that is really his first real design. He's just getting into it. And I told him, it's just so easy to spot. I know who it is the second I see it. Also, you know, Top Gun is a pretty famous movie. But yeah, whenever there's a helmet that I can easily recognize, it's a huge benefit. But we see helmet design becoming a very big thing. It's Zach Delat, of course, designing the Crystal Globe helmets, the Dutch skater. But there are others as well. There's a couple have had, you look at a guy like Nieta Shogo, I don't know if he'll have it this weekend, the Samurai helmet. The Canadians really have some interesting designs, but all adding to that personality and the dynamism.
And it's absolutely, and it's because everyone wears the same suit as their countrymen. Your options for individuality are really in your boot color choices and now in your helmet design. Here we are seeing one of those more tempo speeds. We still have 10 laps to go, but they are pushing the pace a little earlier and more jockeying for position. Everyone kind of wants to take the lead here. Rich is putting a big outside pass with 2 arms on his back, so doing that with comfort and ease. And now he's keeping that pace going. We're down in the low 9s.
And it is Anderson getting up in there, and he's through. A seal of approval from Catherine next to me here.
That was clean. That was a great pass. He was all the right kinds of aggressive, nailed the timing there, and really trusted himself. He didn't back off. He pushed through.
Riches is a guy who likes to be at the front, and these young Norwegian skaters, you almost just feel that there could be a breakthrough that set that program off to the races. That will get a review, though, that pass on Riches by Anderson, but that opened the door for Nikolaev to get up and through.
And oftentimes the name of the game is consistency. You can't nail the pass one time, you have to nail the pass every time. So to your point, the developing Norwegian team is still learning how to, they can do it. Can we do it consistently? Can we do it under pressure, at speed? That's all part of the learning process.
And all the while, Nikolaev skates away. Riches gets up for second, Komarichki for third, along with Su Junpeng, but they will take a look at that pass by Anderson on Riches, and that was near the front. And if they are in that potential top 2 spots, there is always the possibility of an advancement.
So Peter Rich is comfortably moving up to the front here, 2 arms on his back. So not only is he making a big move, he's making it look easy. Now that's some conflict right here. It didn't ultimately cause any contact, although there was some fighting for position. Now this one's causing contact, and what we always want to look for is, are the shoulders even, and are the shoulders even by the first block? Riches has his shoulders clearly in front at the first block, even coming around to the third block. So that contact is what's getting Norway reviewed right now. That was Eric Anderson making those moves, and again, some really good moves there. It's just they have to be done consistently at every speed under pressure, which is what athletes are feeling here this weekend. This is their second to last chance to qualify those Olympic country spots. So the time's ticking. The clock is counting down.
So, taking one last look here. We'll get another look at it. This is the one that's getting reviewed.
So shoulders are behind, and you know what happens often, is that if a pass works once early in a race or early in the weekend, that will boost the athlete's confidence to try the pass again. But the thing is that every situation's different, and there's a thing called a kind environment where you kind of know what's going to happen, you can predict what's going to happen, but speed skating is what's called a wild environment, which means even if it looks the same as last time, it's not. And you have to know in every moment the slate is completely clean. What worked last time, you have to change it this time.
Final decision, penalty, skater number 122 from Norway, and we have an advancement for skater number 90 from Great Britain.
There you go. So there is the penalty, and there is the advancement. So Riches going into the repechage semifinals. As we take another look here, failure to give way, and as Catherine noted, he wasn't really fully around at all through that.
It was a good try, and it's why we have repechage rounds. It's opportunities for skaters to show, hey, no, I deserve to be in the main event, just watch, but also opportunities for the developing countries, for the junior skaters to do moves like that. It's part of the sport, it's part of learning, it's part of the process.
I like to think we have a kind environment here.
Well, you and I are kind. That counts.
Exactly. Heat number 3, Tun Bor, Gdansk Sepal, Liu Shucheng, Raphael Moret, Mohamed Bozdek,
Go to
Radek
the
Faikus, Pudapat Chiangmai.
Ready.
So look at Tun Bor. The Dutch Lions will be at home in Dordrecht next weekend, and I've gotten to be there a few times over the last couple of years, and those crowds are electric. And just looking forward to it.
Electric, and something else they do really well in Holland is they always do a light show, and make you're kind of at a rave at those events. The DJs are so good, everything's just bumping. But here has been great too. The music, the environment's been so fun. The fans coming out, sharing their energy. This is truly a world-class event.
Catherine's been dancing in her seat quite often, and yeah, the
Gdansking is the term, Kevin.
I know. I know. But the one thing I was saying is Sweet Caroline, the Neil Diamond song, is massive in the Netherlands, and I'm thinking, how many times are we going to hear it next weekend? Anyway, that is something we'll have to worry about another day. It is Tun Bor, the Dutch Lions, still on the front. Gdansk Sepal, Mohamed Bozdek, and a team full of sprinters. Bozdek, this really is his preferred event. Always instantly stands out with his bright red helmet, and he is still just 18 years old, 1,000-meter silver from the Youth Olympics. It was Turkey's first at a Winter Games, be a Olympics or Youth Games. So at 18, another one of these programs that has a cohort of young skaters just coming through together.
And what the Turkish team does well is that they understand how to manipulate their speed and manipulate their track. I would say that going fast is not even half of this sport. We are seeing a nice fast move from Liu right now. He's setting up the outside. Tunbor shutting him down. Good defense. And then Liu's able to tuck in without wasting more energy on the outside. Here's what Turkey's doing well. They're controlling the pace of the race. It's still 2.5 to go. I think he's a little early on his burst of speed. Tunbor is going to counterattack. Let's see if Bozdag can be defensive or if he's just going to stick like glue and go for time.
Bor off and away, jumps to the lead. Liu Shucheng now jumping up into second. The Hong Kong Ice Chilin not able to get around Bozdag there, so Bor will take it. Bozdag will scoot on up there and go for 225.02, and that was a little bit slower than our second heat, but far and away faster than our first one.
Well, in that second heat had the advancement, so that time will not count towards the fastest times. Now we're only taking 3 fastest times, and if there are more advancements, they'll take even less. So that's a nice move up by Paul. It's a little bit of an inline move, because watch how he stands up a bit, puts his hand on the skater in front. You can touch a skater, but if that skater falls down, whether you pushed or not, your hand was on him, so you're going to get that penalty. But again, that's kind of an inline move where you learn how to function in tight spaces like that. Tunbor nailing that outside pass, giving what's called a pinch, not a push. It's how you let someone know, like, hey, I'm on your hip, I'm coming for you. Some of the best athletes can skate right through that and continue to defend. Other athletes will clam up a little bit, and that's sometimes why it's an effective strategy.
Paul, another one of those skaters with the family background. His older sister, a 2-time Olympian in short track. And those results confirmed. Tunbor, that's 224.444. We had a 44.444 yesterday time, and boy, that's a lot of. You notice the most random things sometimes. Anyway, heat number 4 has Etienne Bastier, Martin Collins, Wara Noiron, Munk Erdenbelag, Quentin Vercock, Jonathan Ruskenbleck, and Adam Amar Asvar Aslam from Malaysia.
How much time do you spend practicing these names? Are you just natural? Are you just a natural at it?
You'll learn to read them, and by no means an expert in them, and sometimes it's a lot of just faking it and sounding like you know what you're saying, if I can let you in on a secret.
You sound great.
Nobody else is paying attention to that,
Cool,
right? Anyway, but we always do say, Tyler and I have mentioned several times, if people have a proper way of saying it, and you kind of study the languages a little bit, like, you know, in Polish, CZ is ch, SZ is sh, things like that. But then a lot of it is diving in and listening to either interviews in the native language and just listening to how they say it. And then, of course, you know, speaking French, I know those names relatively quickly, but there is a trick to it, and so it's time, it's finding different ways of putting those letters into something that sounds like you know what you're saying. But we've had people in Montreal saying, you know, Im Jong-un, and so we're incredibly grateful for it. I had, you know, someone message me saying Andrew Heo way back in the day, and so we are trying our best, but we always appreciate those who take the time and track us down on social medias to send us the message. And so that's the long and short of it, Catherine.
I'm learning so much. So on to this race, we're already under 10-second lap. We are coming around here with 7 laps to go. So this is a good time for the pace to start to become, what's called that progressive. We are seeing skaters still with 2 hands on their back. That means they're conserving energy. No one is down to their fully lowest position yet. So everyone's biding their time a little bit. There's going to be a big, powerful move. I just don't know yet who's going to make it.
Bastier now has his teammate behind him. Now you would think Bastier perhaps the favorite in this race, and Noiron and Ruskenbleck go down, and for them, that's not in an advancement position, so there will be a review, but that's just taken just about everybody out of the race in the end.
And that is abnormal to have that many skaters go down all at once, and we've gone from a 6-person field, 7 down to math.
I think there were 2 in front and then 1 who was just caught up behind it, and that just the silver line. But yeah, I think 4 guys went in there.
4 went down. Goodness gracious.
And so unfortunate for Koblenz that suddenly he had a huge gap that he just can't close. But if you're Etienne Berthier, you'll take it. Quentin Fercoq at 2:15.49. And that far and away our fastest heat so far. But we will see what's done. But I mean, it was for 3rd and 4th, and so not in those top 2 spots.
And just to give a little bit of context here, the world record in the 1500 for men, it's a 2:07, so we're still pretty far off of that world record pace, but a 2:15 is, from what I can recall, the fastest we've seen all weekend. So we did get a little close-up of the action here. Let's see, Belgium Ice Bear coming up the inside. Oh, a little inside to out there, and then a bump moving laterally. So that's what they're reviewing is...
Blades clicking there.
Yes, and I did just speak with our point person here with the referees, and she did mention, so typically blade contact is not considered a penalty, but if it's a clear and obvious skater running up from behind or making a sharp lateral movement, it is still considered a penalty if it's the aggressor kind of forcing contact. We spoke about this a lot yesterday. It doesn't matter if you meant to or not. It matters if what you did do affected someone else's outcome. Joey Mantilla here is the Belgium team's head coach. Let's go to the ice.
Final decision, penalty number 73 from Belgium.
And so it is Wara Noiron who gets the penalty. No advancements because, as we noted, it was for 3rd and 4th. And so there he is. There's the shift.
There's the shift.
Out. Roskin Black.
And and then it's just a collision from there. It is a very advanced move. So what he was trying to do is good strategy. It's a truly advanced move to do that lateral movement. And also the term is project, to project yourself forward to avoid that contact. And really that's like A-final stuff. That's really advanced technical movement, strategic movement. Here we see the start list for the next round.
And this meant perhaps an unfamiliar territory in the repechage. Luka Jasic, Furkan Akar, Lucas McDonald, Ernestus Chick, Martin Prentel, but Sean Lachart Taprom. But just looking at the guys in the field, you would expect Desmet to take advantage of being the seated skater in this one.
Yes, Desmet and Akar are the favorites in this event, but no one else in the field will make it easy on them.
Ready.
Considering the gulf in some of the rankings here, part of me wondered, and not so secretly hoping, if someone would go off on a flyer from the gun, but no such luck this time.
They are going to push the pace, though. They're not at a snail's pace. They're already, shoulders down, knees are bent. They're definitely already putting a little bit of effort into the ice, which also means some tension into the legs.
Here's McDonald, the New Zealand Ice Kia. In front, he's really been the lone skater flying the flag this season. Last year he had a couple others. There was Joshua Kah and Liam Mead on the women's side, but I know Mead has been injured. But it has been Lucas McDonald. He's jumped up for a couple results in some of the races, winning heat in Montreal.
It's controlling the race from the front now. It's important when you're in the front. You don't want to pull everyone around to a fast time. You want to lead at a pace that you can control. He's controlling it well right now. Akar is looking for something on the outside, not decisively, just kind of sneakily. He needs to tuck in. He's tucking in behind Stan Desmet. That's great strategy because Stan will make a big move and Akar will try to basically ride his coattails or catch a ride up to the front with the big, strong Stan Desmet.
And Akar right before he tucked in there, took a look over his shoulders and gave almost an extended look at Desmet, almost just saying, yeah, here's where I'm going to slot in. And Jasic got up there briefly. Akar took it back. On the front, it is still Ernestus check, and now Desmet goes. And Akar will see if he can follow.
That's a good move by Akar to go up the inside while Stan goes out, but Akar still has some work to do to get in that qualifying position. Nice burst of speed, puts those hands right back on his back to conserve energy. Now he's in the slipstream with Stan Desmet, and we'll see if he tries to go up to the front or if he sticks with it and goes for that time. Oh, wow, look at this.
Luka Jasic with a nice move up the inside, and now he's actually the lowest seated skater in the race. He's been a guy who's been not afraid to get up there, and this would be an interesting twist to the tail. A little bit of car can't hang on, coming around the corner, and it will be Desmet going through, Jasic in second. And a 2:24.66, and so not the quickest, not the slowest, but you always look for those moments for those one guys. And Luka Jasic, the Serbian Owl, with a nice result there.
Yeah, and a sneaky finish there. That was great. This is not a skater we had our eyes on in the beginning of the race, but he tactically timed that perfectly, cleanly executed the pass, and stuck right with it till the finish.
So 133 ranked in the world. Based on that result, you could see that certainly going higher by that young man. But as we thought, Desmet just calmly moving on through.
2 arms on his back. Czech doing a good job. Look, accelerating with Stan, trying to close the door there. Here's Jasic.
And that's where...
Little break out there.
On the corner.
Oh, yeah, let's see that again. So the ice just gives a little bit. That's pretty advanced to touch your knee to the ice and stand up out of it. A testament to his strength. Bad luck with the ice giving out there. But you can imagine, maybe squatting or lunging down so low that your back knee is on the ice, and then do that at top speed, sliding. It's really an athletic. I
cannot imagine doing that myself, frankly.
It's fun. It's difficult. It's difficult, but it's fun when you do it right.
And he did manage to hang on. I think Akar will see in the 500-meter quarterfinals this afternoon on the World Tour session. That really his preferred event. Heat number 6. Another British Royal, Theo Collins, Maris Sternmanis of the Latvian Golden Stars. There's a look at Nathan Thomas, one of 2 Polish Hussars. There's the other, Michał Niewinski. Daniel Abog of the Uzbek Cobras, and then a pair of German Wolves, Jonas Hammermüller, Raphael Schlosserek.
Go to the start. Position 7 behind 6. Go to the start. Ready.
Interesting race to break down here. A couple of teammates, German and Polish. A guy like Theo Collins, who's one of those just outside the top 50 in the distance, and so what to look for. Same with Collins and Thomas, both 53, 52. So there's always that chance of something happening here when there's just so many variables here.
There are so many variables, and look right now, neither the Polish skaters or the German skaters are lined up in the race, and it's very common. It's just natural. When you've got a teammate, a training partner, a friend, you skate with, it's easy to skate with people you know how they skate. It's hard to skate behind people whose rhythm and tempo you aren't necessarily used to yet. So neither of the teammates taking advantage of that kind of easy feeling, skating with someone that they know, but we're seeing much more strategy and tactics here, the 2 Hussars together. Now, if I'm on Team Germany, I want to be 2 skaters up front right about now.
I believe it was in Montreal. I know Nathan Thomas, it might have been with Niewinski, but there was a coming together of 2 Polish Hussars at one moment, so not always an ideal situation, but if there are people you know how they skate, as Catherine mentioned, right, it's your teammates, and so here they are, the 2 right now.
Well, in an event like this where we're only picking 1 and then it's on time, like there is no working together here. It's just really a comfort thing of like Michał Niewinski he doesn't have to pay attention. I'll explain it a little bit later, because here we're seeing a nice big move from Nathan Thomas up into first, and he's going to keep that pace going. as we come around with 4 to go.
Nivinsky joining him, and now it's a head-to-head battle between the two. And Collins, perhaps sensing the race getting away, jumps up inside nicely to get into third, and he's right on Nivinsky's tail.
Collins does still have a little bit of time to make a move, but he's going to have to start stepping out and building up.
And Nivinsky for the lead. There's an opening on the inside as Collins gets there. And now it looks like it is a battle between these two, Nivinsky and Collins. Is there going to be the opening? Collins up the inside, and he can't make it stick.
Yeah, it's that late inside pass that can be done. It can be done well, but it's the hardest passes. Look at the sportsmanship here.
His arm was stuck under there.
Under the pads. That does happen. We have a sliding pad system here, so there are no hockey boards behind these pads. They move when the athletes run into them, but sometimes, yeah, they can also, they have their own, own negatives that come with that, even though it's typically a much safer way for the athletes to race.
There's our race winner, Nathan Thomas, and I'm sure he won't mind one bit to see a couple guys doing that short track.
Little contact there. And that little elbow move, we can see what the officials are calling, but not necessarily an arm block here. Nivinsky's just a little close coming up, bumps the arm swing of their skater, and that's normal to be like, yo, hey, watch out, that's my arm swing, I got room here. So here comes Collins up the middle. The shoulders get even, but it's late. If you're going to do that pass, you have to be finished with the pass by the second block, not just pulling even by the second block. And so that's what's under review here. Nivinsky, technically you have a choice in that moment. You can step out and accelerate. Oh yeah, we see both arms and a couple blocks sliding under there. Wow, and again, sportsmanship. Sorry, man. Nah. Nivinsky says, it's okay, I get it. We're all doing our best out here.
And so they are looking at perhaps both of them, or because Nivinsky, Collins did get through, he was in front, but as Catherine mentioned, was it too late? Because he had, by that point of the corner, gotten a little bit in front, and so they're all, of course, also looking at possible shared responsibility in the end.
That's right, and it's easier to, there's different angles that you can see these things at. So our angle looked a little late for me, but if we see that same move from a different angle, we'll see all the different things that the referees are considering right now.
So,
okay, so shoulders are, it could be shared responsibility. That is what they're considering, because that was an aggressive move by Collins up the inside, and then Nivinsky did have a choice. Do I step out? He stepped out there and then came back in. That's normal because you do have to come back into the blocks for your pivot, but if there's a skater there, oftentimes what you're better off doing is double timing it with your feet, carrying the speed out wide, and then diving at the line. 6 of one, half dozen of the other, and in the moment, you just do the best you can with what you've got.
he is all of us right now, although of course he has his own personal interest, but we're all kind of tapping our fingers there waiting for the ruling.
And on home ice, too, he really wants to be the skater that moves on and gets to perform in front of his home crowd.
And here we go.
Final decision, penalty number 11 from Poland, advancement for skater 56 from Great Britain.
And so it's Theo Collins, and yeah, in the end, as Catherine saw, he kind of stepped out and then stepped back in. By the time he stepped back in, Collins was past.
That's right. We'll see it here. So Nivinsky, he checked. He thinks he's going outside, and then he went inside. And that's, I know that feeling where you have to pick one. Do I defend wide or do I defend tight? And then, oh shoot, they went the other way, and now I got to adjust quickly, and that's how these things happen.
Legal opening and closing. I believe this is the first time we've seen that.
I agree. To clarify, that's never an intentional causing of contact. It's always, I'm trying to do my best. I'm at the very edge of what I'm capable of, and hey, we're on razor-thin blades on really a fast sport, so it's difficult to do everything right.
And so it's 2 British Royals advance to the Repechage semis. Boost for those guys to have their big numbers through to the Repechage semifinals. Heat number 7, Oleg Hyundai, Asen Gudov, Liam O'Brien, Hayashi Kosei, Brandon Kim, and Stefan Alexander Kumurjev. So Wildcat, a king, wolfhound, another king, an eagle, and a ninja. But of course, watching at the back, Hayashi, ranked number 9, unfamiliar territory, a guy who's medaled in the 1500 on World Tour.
Brandon Kim making an outside move, training full time only for the second time in his life, in his career. He really prioritizes his academics and is able to just maintain his fitness while he's going to school. He grew up on the ice, so he's got wonderful technique. It's just a matter of keeping that nice, loose, comfortable feeling on the ice and keeping fitness while he focuses on his schoolwork.
Hayashi getting in front of O'Brien, click a wave as he went through. The 22-year-old out of Nagoya. His mom, Sachi Ozawa, competed in Nagano in 1998. And his brother, also a member of the Japanese relay side that won bronze at the 2020 World Championships. And yeah, Hayashi's bronze in the 1500 in Milan was the only individual medal for the Japanese Ninjas program last season. But he's one of those guys who is fun to watch.
And the reason he's fun to watch is because he keeps his center of gravity so low. You'll see when he lands his left skate, his hip actually drops below his knee. I think that's the lowest skating of anyone on the World Tour circuit. The lower your center of gravity is, the easier it is to keep your balance, and it's also helpful at speed. Think of a figure skater. When they spin, they don't stretch their arms out. They pull them in tight because a tight, compact position will speed you up.
So it's a real battle to stay right with Hayashi. Hyundai, always an animator, trying to shake it up here up the inside, and a nice move into the lead. Look at that surge from Kim.
He's setting something up, but it's time to execute. He has the speed. He needs to manipulate his pattern on the track.
Just so quickly, Hayashi the lead. Kim tries to follow, but he bumps into Hyundai, and that will get a review, but Hayashi Kosei stays away from trouble and gets through the repechage quarterfinal. I do not think he is part of the review, but it was Kim trying to follow in the slipstream, and that's when the bump happened, and that's when there is the possibility for review, and so we shall see.
And that is the benefit of Hayashi staying up in the front. You are less likely to run into that trouble up front. And then, of course, if you're in qualifying position, you get the automatic advancement. Now, let's take a peek here. Everyone's trying to move at once. Brandon Kim getting a little bit of a pinch. Oh, I see. So a nice step out by Hayashi, which maybe makes it look like there's more room than there actually is. Oh, my goodness. We have seen skaters actually go up and over the boards in situations like that. Nice job by Hyundai staying on the ice side, getting back on his feet, and coming around to finish the race. So here's that bump. From this angle, Kim's shoulders are forward, but with that contact, there's a tangle in the arms, so there's a lot to review there.
Hyundai, I noticed there's a message on his helmet, but I can only guess it's very small print. But there it is again. And that's a very high speed. Hyundai goes in careening into the mats, but they are very comfortable if you're sitting on them anyway. But anyway, to the ice.
Final decision, penalty number 23 from USA, advancement, skater number 5 from Ukraine.
And there you go. And so it is a penalty for Brandon Kim, and we are fast running out of those second place opportunities. I believe that's advancement number 3, but here it is, looking at illegal late pass. So Catherine noted he is through, but it's too late. Perhaps too late.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that there's a point going into the corner where you still have time to react, and there's a point where once I've started my turn left, I can't stop it. And so if I've already started and then someone's trying to make the pass, there's nothing I can do. If I can see it coming, then it's my responsibility to back off. But if I've already committed to my turn, it's the inside skater's responsibility to complete that pass safely.
So Hyundai into the repechage semifinals. And again, the benefit of getting into those advancement positions, be they in the automatic one or in those fastest time ones. And when the incidents happen, if you are the victim of something, you get that advancement. And so we've seen a few now. Getting into the right spot, misfortune turns into, well, good fortune.
We're seeing an ice repair this morning, and I'll tell you what, I watched the ice repair guys on the ice yesterday after racing were over. I'll have to find out more. There's clearly a club here because these guys are good speed skaters. They were going around, they were buzzing around that track. They've done an incredible job replacing blocks, track maintenance, especially during relays. It's absolute chaos. So to be quick enough on your feet and have a high enough sport IQ to understand what needs to be done and in what time frame, truly it's one of the hardest jobs on the ice.
It's if you do get the full aerial shot as we do here, you don't often get it on the TV, but when blocks go down in those relays with so many skaters on the ice, you watch and then they pretty much dash at full speed, block in hand, drop it down and get off before the skaters come around. In Montreal, we did have actually a collision with one of the stewards, but I think everybody was okay. I don't think it affected a race. It was one of the skaters who'd gone off, but it's, as Catherine said, it is tough work as they fixed up the ice. Heat number 8, just a couple to go before our first resurfacing break. Dennis Repechage, Friso Emmons, Lucas Wareham, Peter Yassapani, Sean McAnuff, and that man, Peter Murphy, the Duke.
Ready.
Bear that nickname until there are more Dukes from Luxembourg racing on World Tour. It is the Wolfhound of Ireland, Sean McAnuff.
Getting up and out of trouble early, wanting to continue to be up front, taking that second place strategy behind Murphy now. And you see a nice big space between Emmons and, help me, Gavin.
Outside of Repechage.
Thank you. That space there, it's good strategy. So here's what happens is if you're too close to the skater in front of you, the only way to build speed is to step out. That does two things. It opens the door for a pass coming from behind you. It also informs the skater in front of you that you're setting something up. When you leave space, you can accelerate without giving up your position and without telling everyone else what you're trying.
And Ira Repechage to the front, Yassapani winding up on the outside, and he goes all the way to the lead. You say we're stepping out, you make me think like we're leading into a big musical number. We're stepping out.
That's right. So it's short for stepping out wide, stepping out wider onto the track, and that was a good example of it. You have to step out wide to either set up a pass or to build speed. You can pass and build speed on a tight track. It's much harder to execute and incredibly harder on the legs.
Emmons, Yassapani, the two top-seeded skaters in this heat.
And you see Emmons stepping out, going into the turn. Watch this. He goes out to the right, leaves a big space between the first block and himself, but then he stays tight on block 5 and 6. This is called a deep track. It can also be called a hammer float because the entry naturally gets a little slower, whereas the hammer drops on the corner exit.
Emmons brings the hammer time ahead of Yassapani, Ira Repechage, and then there is a gap, but now these two just putting their foot down a little bit more. Ira Repechage struggling to hang on. We'll see if Yassapani has it in him to try a move. Emmons defending, and will take that all the way to victory in this heat. 2:22.67 for Yassapani in second.
And that was a bit of a clinic by Emmons on what it looks like to control a race from the front, because he never really overextended. He never had two arms down. He was never outright sprinting. He was controlling the race. And I've talked a lot this weekend about leading versus pulling. That's what leading looks like when you can manage your own energy and also control the other skaters behind you with your strategy and tactics. Here's a look at that outside pass. Again, he puts those two arms on his back, conserving energy. There's the float. Nice, easy into the corner. Compression at the apex block. That's what helps them turn tight and keep their speed. A good defense on the inside track as they come around the last turn and finish.
And so that time for Yassapani would not be enough. There is, remember, just one possible second place time. That's currently held by Quentin Vercoq in that wacky heat where about 4 guys went off at the same time, and it's a 2:15.421, and so he has 2 more heats to wait through to see if that does stand up. And then you have the confirmed Heat 8 results. Imons going on through to the repechage semifinals. He'll quick recovery because we'll have the ice resurface, women's 1,000 repechage semis, and then the 1,500 meter rep semis. 2 heats in all in that one, and 2 to go here. Heat number 9, Bence Nogrady, Frederick Pedersen, Maxim Maximov, Tariq Omeragic, Nico Enderman, and Simon Bastier. So a Falcon, a Viking, a King, the only Lynx, Austria, and a Rooster.
Go to the start. Ready.
So this one, the first few strides, I'm looking like there's an agreement that time will not be the factor here. Just talking about the only Lynx in the competition, Bosnia-Herzegovina. I believe from my research it is the Balkan lynx is what they represent, which is a subspecies of the Eurasian lynx. And just like there is only one here, it is a critically endangered part of the Balkan lynx. It's the subspecies, so not a species on its own, but yes, just like the Balkan lynx of the wild, we obviously hope for more Bosnia-Herzegovina lynxes on World Tour one day.
That's right, and the kits here, the updated kits with the team identities, that's only been going on for a little over a year now. And what I find wonderful about it is we really get an insight into the culture of the country, into the history, the mythology, the natural resources of each country. So it's a lot more than just people skating fast and turning left.
And yeah, I mean, some of them are obvious, the Norwegian Vikings, but we learned the Polish Hussars. I learned that the Hussars were a cavalry unit.
Medieval times.
A couple centuries ago, your Hussars riding into battle, and then that sort of spawned other things. I know one of the Canadian regiments that landed on Juno Beach on D-Day in 1944 were the first Hussars, the name of the regiment itself. And so, you see the origin of it. Now we know where the word Hussar comes from.
I love that. I love that historical aspect to the sport. Pace really picking up now as Nogrady tries to nail this outside pass. He's swinging an arm, so the arm swing can help pick up your foot speed. It can help put power into your push. If you're leading, it makes you bigger. Oh, no.
Oh, boy. Nogrady leaned in on Omeragic. Omeragic lost his balance and then went out and took out Nogrady, and they're bringing this one back.
Oh dear, that means we have a skater down. He's not getting up quick enough. We can't tell from here if maybe he's got something stuck under the pad or if he's just hurting and slow to get up.
And he looks like he's okay. The concern too is that as they're picking up speed near the finish line, that's right near the finish line, and if anything happens in the lead up, then it creates a dangerous situation. But there it is. Oof. Ouch.
Yeah, two big, strong athletes going in together there. So Nogrady coming on the outside, trying to put his hand down for a pivot at the same time that we see just a little bobble.
So they were level. It's shoulder to shoulder. Nogrady goes out wide, but then Omeragic loses his balance, and Nogrady, there's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go except for into the boards, and it's so scary to see blades. Look, he's got a cut on the back of his head.
Yeah.
Nogrady's blade gets the back of the right side.
I could see it hit the wheel on the back of his helmet too, and so very, very lucky that.
Extremely, extremely lucky. Oh my goodness, that's almost a worst case scenario. And he was stuck under the padding, it seems, which is why he wasn't able to stand up quickly. Typically, if the race is stopped for a specific person, that person is not allowed into the reskate. Because this was not in the skater's control, they are going to allow everyone to reskate. This was an issue with the pads, not an issue with the skater himself.
Yeah, just in the interest of ultimate security there, where you know, a final corner push and someone else gets taken out, and Omeragic was not able to get up. He was kind of stuck under the mats there, and
that's right.
Safety priority here.
And being in front when that happened does give him the advantage. We can see Frederick Peterson here resting a little bit. Bastier feeling good, getting a shakeout.
Well, he's a young guy, and so they almost got through 1,500 meters, and so they're going to have to do almost a whole second race.
That's right. You see the physio there doing a shakeout. So when I've referenced this before, the legs start to feel like bricks. Your physio can do this for you, but also you might see skaters just pounding their fists on their thighs. That loosens up the muscle fibers and allows for more blood flow to come in. It allows for lactic acid to flush out. These skaters are tired. They are doing everything they can to recoup and recover because they're going to have to go right back out to another 1,500 meter effort.
My mind always wanders to that 2024 World Championships in Rotterdam where Kristen Santos Griswold, Kim Lee, and there was one other skater, all three of them into the mats, 1 lap to go in the gold medal race, and they bring it all back, and they almost have to do a second full race. And so, yeah, the legs were tired. It wasn't the swiftest of restarts, but yeah, this is essentially doing a second 1,500.
And athletes do train for this. There's a specific type of interval training where you take a shorter rest, a shorter or an equal amount of rest to the amount of work. And that is, it trains your energy systems in a very unique way, but it also prepares you for instances like this where you have to do 2 high intensity efforts back to back.
So from the looks of things, that is a possible no call, and I believe that's what has been made official, and everyone is allowed to restart. Catherine pointed that out because Omeragic was stuck under the padding.
And he's choosing to go through a pit stop here. It looks, we didn't see the whole pit stop, but he's got his spare blades out and the power drill. So yes, they are replacing blades. So blades attached to cups, cups attached to boots. The cups are what keep what's called an offset on the skate. So some skaters like their blade to turn in slightly or out slightly. Some people like it way off to the right, or everybody's different on that. So you don't really see a lot of movement in the cups generally, but what skaters can do is remove the blade from the cups, put their backup blade in. He's lucky this is a 1,500 because he'll have a few slower laps to get this new blade underneath him. Sometimes that happens in a 500 and skaters are having to go immediately to top speed on brand new, they tested in practice, but in competition, untested equipment.
And so we will go do the restart, and there's no far and away top seed in this race, so it was pretty even to begin with, but now more so, as we'll see who can recover quickest to pick it back up for a second attempt in heat number 9
Go to the
in the
start.
men's 1,500 meter repechage quarterfinals.
Ready.
This will be a testament to everyone's fitness, and to be honest with you, we'll see who got their reps in their summer training. So skaters are made in the summer. Everyone in this field has been training definitely since May, maybe since April, since it's an Olympic season. Remember, last season just ended in March. So the off-season time, there's no competition, but there's many, many miles on the bike, many, many laps around the track, many, many reps in the weight room. And that's called building your base. Think of it like a pyramid. You need a big, wide base so that you can be stable up at the top. And we're going to see now who did their reps in the summer, so they have the base to perform a second time in a row.
And Tariq Omeragic out of Sarajevo.
Very slow speed here to start. They're going to let it come down to a sprint.
Understandably so, I would imagine. But it is Simon Bastier almost standing completely upright.
You know, back in my day, as I keep saying, we used to race a 3,000 meter, and if you skated like this for too many laps in a row, the officials would stop the race, put you back on the start line and say, skate like you mean it. I don't think they're going to do that here. These are reasonable, understandable circumstances, but it is something that the officials have the discretion to do if they feel that the racers aren't being serious about competing early in the race.
And certainly there is movement now. Anderman on the front. Omaragic made a move up the outside into second, and now looking like we're going racing.
Oh yeah, Omaragic knowing, he's like, hey, I did my reps in the summer. I'm going right back to the front, see if you can beat me. Anderman responding here, or sorry, Pedersen responding here.
And Anderman also is responding up the inside, but it's Pedersen on the front. Just out of juniors. That Norwegian side, this team is either guys who are just out of juniors or still have a junior year in them. That would be a good result for Fredrik Pedersen if he's able to make it around to the win, but Anderman up the inside.
And that opens the door for Bastier. Omaragic really fighting himself back.
And again, going in with Nogradi. You again.
And now the fatigue setting in. We see the pushes starting to go backwards. That's a sign of fatigue. In a perfect world, you keep your skates level with your hips entirely throughout the push.
Simon Bastier, Benson Nogradi going forward on the last lap. Remember, there will be a review for Anderman's move on Pedersen. That was for the lead, and so it is Simon Bastier taking that one, the restart of the ninth heat.
And Simon showing some really good sport IQ in that instance. So we talk a lot about manipulating the speed and manipulating the track. You can be a really pretty, really fast, really powerful skater, but if you don't know how to play with your track patterns and play with your speed. Okay, so here's the look. Anderman on the inside. From this angle, it does not appear to have shoulders even. Pedersen responds well. He doesn't fight and create more contact. He steps out to build speed, but then gets a little caught up. Still not looking from this angle like shoulders are in front. There's a little tangle with the arms. They are considering a Norway on Australia. Again, Nogradi with Omaragic.
And the fill-in blades going a little wobbly there off that, but Simon Bastier to the front.
Staying tight there on the corner exit, closing the door so there's no opportunity for an inside pass by Nogradi.
They are also, you mentioned, they're looking at Pedersen on Anderman for perhaps leaning in there, but they do look at the other way as well, so that could lead to an advancement for Pedersen. But again, the drama right before the resurfacing break.
That's right, and Verkock must be just sitting on pins and needles because he's right now the fastest time that would go through, but another advancement will eliminate time qualification. Austrian head coach there awaiting anxiously for the final result.
Anderman already off the ice, not even looking up at what is happening out there. He'll just let the chips fall where they may, and here we go.
Final decision, penalty number 72 from Austria, and advancement for skater number 124 from Norway.
And so Anderman is penalized. As Catherine noted, he had not really gotten in front when the contact happened with Pedersen, failure to give way.
So we'll look at it closer here. Andersen does a good job, tied up the inside, but he gets caught up with the block that slows down his speed. He doesn't change his plan, though. He's already committed, so he dives into the corner. It's not clean enough, and that's what called the review.
Anderman the penalty, and another advancement that takes up all four. Unfortunate for Quentin Verkock, but you know, a good result for Fredrik Pedersen getting to move on to the repechage semifinals. Have it. Bastier also through with a good result for him.
2:52. It's been a long time since I've seen a 2:52 1500 meter.
Go to the start. Ready.
One more to go. Li Wenlong from the Chinese lungs. Light side Wan Chen, often a guy who likes to animate early. He does a little bit, but not one of his bigger ones. Yaroslav Morozov, Peter Grothkloos, Wara Van Dam, and Tobias Wolf.
Lisa is a very tactical athlete. He knows where to be and when. Weren't you saying the blue mockingjay is
Blue mag.
Blue mag, thank you. See, he's got all the facts, you guys. He's really sharp with this stuff. The blue magpies, they're wise and crafty, right?
Well, yeah, magpies in general around the world are known as pretty smart birds in the grand scheme of things.
And this Lai Sai, Chinese Taipei skater, very smart racing here, staying in the back, conserving energy. We're seeing a step out and building speed by Gross Close.
Originally out of Tarzana, California, now living on the east coast of the United States. I think I saw his parents here yesterday. And now it is Light Sai and Gross Close with a bit of a gap, but War Van Dam has plenty of experience, as does obviously Li Wenlong with 7 laps to go. There's no urgency, there's no fear right now that would get away from them.
And we can look at the shoulders of Li Wenlong. They're relaxed. So sometimes a skater shows their tension when their shoulders starts to pull back, their chest lifts up. Li Wenlong keeping those shoulders down, adding an arm swing.
And there's a bump between Light Sai and Gross Close, and again at the front. And so if there is any discipline, could lead to an advancement. And Lee now sensing that there's an increased risk getting to the front. Wolf smartly following him, recognizing the seated skater in the race. Wolf living in Vise now, 2020 Youth Winter Olympian, has also done some long track. And just tucking right in as close as he can to Li Wenlong, but there has to be a move at some point. There is no more second place opportunity. Lee guiding it around. Here comes Wolf, who reaches. I think Lee still takes it.
I think so too. And Lee sharing with me earlier in the week that the only pressure that he's feeling is to fight for his team, to get as many country spots as possible. And he's really working to channel any pressure that he is feeling into his best effort.
Catherine's been the one going around, catching up with colleagues, coaches, athletes, and really just getting all these intel on the insights and the mentality of these skaters. This is the incident, Catherine.
Yeah, so Lai Sai being, well, aggressive might be one word, assertive could be another. Again, it just depends how the skaters around you handle it sometimes, because sometimes a bad pass might not affect another skater and there's no call, and sometimes a good pass might affect another skater and there is a call. Either way, Li Wenlong charging up to the front for the finish here, showing that team spirit, that fighting effort, diving for the line, using the arm swing.
Both made it close. It was a good effort for him. So the incident, it's Gross Close who's getting looked at, and it could, as I mentioned, lead to an advancement, as it was right at the front, with Light Sai being in that lead position when Gross Close tried to move on him.
So many things to review this weekend, and it's such a knife's edge, because you never as an official want to be the one who determines the result. You want the athletes to determine the result. That being said, there are rules, and athletes, you have to play by them, right? So we'll leave those tough decisions up to the officials.
Waiting here. This is the last race before the break.
See Lai Sai waiting anxiously.
Be a good result for him too to get into that repechage semifinal, and that's the sign that we are ready to go down.
Final decision, penalty for number 128 from Philippines, and we have an advancement from skater number 141 for Chinese Taipei.
It is Gross Close with the penalty, and Light Sai Wanchen does get advanced, and so here it is, outside to in is the ruling.
So we see that cut across the screen, which does impede slightly on Lai Sai. Those shoulders are in front though, especially from that angle, which is why he got the advancement, and Gross Close got the penalty.
There we go. That takes us into our first break. And yeah, enjoy the moment you get to that repechage semifinal. That is a pretty good result for that young man. And we head into the break as those results are confirmed. Plenty of advancements from the first block of races. When we come back, big moments, repechage semifinals, both the women's 1,000 and then the men's 1,500. That is coming up in about 14 minutes as you see the list of qualifiers who we will see later on, but we will catch you on the other side of the break. The lights back up in the Hala Olivia 2 Repechage semifinals. Just the winner moving into the quarterfinals. But when it comes to Olympic qualification spots, it's the top 32 when all this drama plays out by the end in Dordrecht who will get those quota spots. And so when it's the quarterfinals this afternoon, there will be 18 skaters, 6 in 4 heats, which means even if a skater doesn't come through the Repechage quarterfinals, they still want to get as high as they can, because even if you're not getting into the top 18, you're still well inside the top 32. And so, Catherine, all that to say, these two races, there's going to be racing for every single position on the ice.
Absolutely, and this is short track at its finest. We are not taking any fastest seconds or thirds here, so you're going to see truly a strategic event. Now, sometimes the best strategy is to go out front and sprint for time, but more often it's to rely on those strategy and tactics.
Go to the start. Ready.
Young Jingru, Tineke Dendulk, Julie Latai, Hyojin Kim, Camila Cellier, and Olga Tikhonova. And if there's ever any more added motivation to get to the front, to, again, if misfortune happens, you could get an advancement. And skaters, if they do get penalized, it's not like they'll go all the way down to the bottom. It would just be out of these skaters. So again, you might see, Catherine, I imagine, a little more urgency to pass.
More aggression here. There's less to lose, so you can put more out on the table. Everyone fighting for position early on, and that's normal in a 1,000-meter. The first 3 laps, everyone fights to be in qualifying position. The middle 3 laps, skaters settle in, reevaluate their strategy. The last 3 will be a big sprint. So here's that settling in phase. Someone needs to make a move right about now.
And it is Camila Cellier, ranked number 20, and is the top-seeded skater in this race. But a lot of skaters all in the same range of each other. And so Latai of the USA Eagles up into third and trying to get up into second. But as she does that, Yang trying to go for the lead. But it is Latai who slots into second.
So that's what happens when, oh, look, good pass. That's what a late inside pass ought to look like. Julie Latai needs to keep her speed. Step, 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 avoid contact.
Yang went in and I think took herself out. That will get reviewed. It's Latai leading the way. Here comes Hyojin Kim, and the Racing Roo is going to push. Is it going to be Kim taking it? I don't know. But what a result for Kim that would be.
Well, also for Julie Latai.
Absolutely. Whoever wins, sorry to interrupt, but whoever wins, that's just a huge shot in the arm for Olympic qualification.
Absolutely, and you know, that's short track. That's when you're really going toe-to-toe all the way to the line. So let's take a peek here. Cellier coming up the front. A little bobble there with the Chinese long. She goes down. That's Yang Jingru.
There was a little bit of an elbow hanging out as Yang went by right there.
Correct. Ooh, and she returned the elbow, didn't she? Right to the chin. Julie, phenomenal energy management there, because it would have been easy to run right into that conflict, but she holds her pace back and then accelerates through. That's good tactics. Hyojin Kim, though, really keeping herself in a safe position until the very end. Julie Latai defending best she can, and here's the dive for the line.
Oh, I think it might be Kim, but whoever gets it, both of them have been skating very, very well. Latai really looking like she's back at her best.
Absolutely, and I know she was not super happy with her results yesterday, stretching so far into a fall. And then there's a point where, as an athlete, you're allowed to be proud of your effort, regardless of whether or not it works. That's an effort to be proud of right there.
And by 3 thousandths of a second, Julie Latai. Oh my. Wow.
Julie Latai and I skated together on the same team leading up to the 2018 Olympic trials. It's been such a joy to watch her progress. She was just starting up as I was finishing out, and now here she is, happy with that result.
And Hyojin Kim, though, cannot put her head down for that. She's a one-woman team, so any quota spots earned for the Australian Racing Roo's women's side is her and her alone. And so just talking about 18 on the line in the quarterfinals, she would be just outside that, well inside the top 32, and so just a good result for her, even in second place.
Absolutely, and you know, sometimes, let's get another peek at this review. So Cellier and Jingru Yang, just a little contact here, like you said, Gavin. There's an elbow, there's an elbow. That hurts, but you just keep going. Again, Julie sitting on her heels, not accelerating into trouble, but biding her time and then using her speed a little later. We are still reviewing the results here, so there could be a change. But electronically, at least, it looks like Julie Latai is in that official qualifying spot with a 132.385. Jingru Yang waiting patiently to see if maybe she gets the advancement.
Possible shared responsibility as well. And there, which would be completely different. Possible no rule violation, so just two skaters going shoulder to shoulder and one going down, and
that's
here
right.
we go. Or maybe not. Second heat skaters were almost ready to toe the line, but now going back and trying to keep warm. They did the Repechage quarterfinals back on Thursday. And Michel Dumont.
I wonder if he's having a microphone problem. We've seen that a couple days.
Well, we actually did briefly have official results up on the board, and then they are now unofficial once again. And so I will not tell you what I saw.
Yeah, and so potentially they're still considering what that move there might be.
That could be someone in the room going, you know what?
Double check
Let's
that.
just take a look at that, whatever angle again. But now it looks like they have decided to the ice we go.
Final decision, race incident, no rule violation.
There you go. And that's pretty much one up on the screen. It was just Julie Lataille with the Q next to her name, and everybody else just had their time. And so here we go. It's Young going up the inside, and then they both, you mentioned both having their elbows out, and just the racing incident. And in the end, Lataille goes through. Kim, a very, very close, creditable second.
0.003 of a second.
Thousandths of a second. And so when it comes to ranking,
Go to the
will
start.
be taken on time here.
Ready.
But I mean, you look at this race, Dita Van Oorschot, Chloé Olivier, Gloria Ioriatti, Katarina Budic, Berenice Combi, and Sarah Luxa Backsky, all of them essentially in the top 42 in the world, except for Combi, who did not have a ranking coming in. But it's just someone, a lot of these skaters are not going to be in the quarterfinals, but there are some very, very good skaters.
Absolutely, and we're seeing really smart skating by Didi Van Oorschot. She's in the front. She's controlling the pace of the race. She's constantly looking around, and if I was her, I'd also be listening, because you can hear when someone starts to set up their pass, and she does it well. Even though the skater setting up is Combi coming back from 4th place. And Combi goes down. She can't hold it. Van Oorschot had reacted to that acceleration, though, way before Combi even got close to her, and that is good tactics.
And they're looking at it because there was perhaps an arm out. It might have been Budic going in there. I'm watching the Azzurri, Gloria Ioriatti, the top-seeded skater in this heat, ranked number 14. She's not making the big move just yet as Chloé Olivier into second, and now Ioriatti wanting to get right up there.
Ioriatti has only briefly taken her arms off her back, whereas especially those skaters up front have been swinging arms the entire time. So that's part of energy management. 2 arms on your back takes less energy, so Ioriatti has a little more gas here with 1 lap to go.
1 to go. Ioriatti now one-on-one with Van Oorschot. She's going to try to go up the outside and maybe dive on the inside to take it, but it is, another one that's going to go to the photo.
Oh, and
as Ioriatti went down and took out Van Oorschot with her.
She's feeling that one. That hurt.
But I think she might have just gotten it ahead of Van Oorschot on the reach. But that's going to be a photo as well.
It's possible. She really waited to the last minute, which is what she had to do. She had 3 skaters constantly battling out in front of her. Here's the review on Combi.
It was cleared in the end.
Okay, so it was cleared. There's just not room. So you see her trying to put her hand down. Putting your hand out on the apex block helps you manage that 180-degree turn. She can't put her hand down because Croatia is guarding her space. That's her space. That's not an illegal arm block right there. But Combi can't do the thing that she needs to do to get stable, and therefore falling. Ioriatti forced to wait till the very end here to move. She nailed the setup.
Let's see. Oh, geez. And
she did not get the reach.
4 thousandths of a second. So close.
Look at that setup, though. She nailed the acceleration into the corner. She did everything she could with her track pattern.
It's like Van Oorschot just made herself big and just took up that little bit more room.
That's right. Good defensive skating by Van Oorschot. Good offensive skating by Ioriatti. There's a reason that they're challenging with the best in the world.
So 2 just fantastic races, separated by fractions of a second. Really racing at its best here, and this day's just getting started. This isn't even the racing for the medals yet. That's this afternoon. So if you're watching us now, I would assume you are going to be with us later. And if you know people who might want to tune in as well, let them know now that there has been some great racing here in Gdansk, and we expect it only to get better.
You can feel a different tension in the ice rink today because it is a medal round day, because it is a main event day. And also the environment here in the rink has changed slightly. It's colder today. That's better for ice conditions, I would imagine as well. I don't know this, but I would imagine it as well that there was some serious ice repair done last night The Zamboni can do what's called shaving the ice, which removes the top layer of ruts. But if you shave the ice too thin, that's not good for it. If you flood it and build it up too much, that's not good either. So we're really seeing a good middle point here, just in time for the medal event.
It is quite a bit cooler inside, outside as well, hovering right around the freezing mark. Repechage 1500 meter men's semifinals. One of two heats up right now.
Go to the start. Ready.
And first skater from each race qualifies for the semifinals. This heat has 7. Next heat has 8. And a reminder, the 1500 is different, unlike the other events where it's 36 quota spots. So if you do the quick arithmetic, 2 semifinals, it's 3 semifinals. So 21 skaters. And so all these guys are going to be earning some pretty decent quota spots, but again, racing for each individual position to get that little bit more. But even this heat could be one that has plenty of guys on another day would be in a World Tour event. There's Laitsai Wanchen, Wanjun Moon, Frederick Pedersen, Stan de Smet, Etienne Bastier, Hayashi Kosei, Nathan Thomas.
A lot of movement so far in this race. I do like Laisai's strategy, staying up front. Again, he's a good race IQ kind of skater. He knows how to manipulate the speed and the track. Pedersen, he likes to go to the front, and I like this tactic for him. He's a taller skater, so it's easier for him to defend a front position than to attack from behind.
And de Smet in the lead, but Pedersen, one of a number of guys to be advanced from the last round, maybe wondering, hey, if I get a bump again, I could be off to the semis, but Laitsai went down on his own. I'm not sure there was contact there. At speed, he is okay, a little bit of a hobble, but he's just getting going again, but now really down to 6.
Bastier coming up to the front, pulling a gap. So now Moon needs to work to close that gap, and ideally he closes the gap right into a pass, but it looks like he'll play it conservative and he'll stick in the draft for another lap.
Thomas getting around Pedersen. It is Bastier. Just about any of these guys have skated World Tour the afternoon session.
Moon building up here, but he gives away his spot. The timing of these passes is very difficult. He has to now contend with Stan de Smet.
Here, Hayashi taking a look on de Smet, but the big man getting in the way there. Now Moon for the lead on Bastier. Watching de Smet, watching Hayashi. 4 guys who, this could be anyone's race at the bell. It is Moon, Bastier, de Smet all there, but Hayashi up the inside. Is there one move for the Japanese ninja? But here comes de Smet, but Moon takes it.
Happy with that, checking with his coach. Sometimes even the athletes don't know, did I get it, did they get it? But he did, at least what we're seeing unofficially, Moon did get the finish line first over Kosei Hayashi.
It is just banger after banger after banger in this repechage session.
And that's what happens when the field gets closer and closer together in the level of ability. Laisai just catching a toe there, and unfortunate, happens to the best of us. Just a little off balance.
So if I'm just looking all the way down, even in 6th place, Nathan Thomas, if you kind of do the math out, it is, you know, potentially top 30 kind of spot for him. So he'll help his Hussars side potentially getting a good quota ranking spot. But it is Moon confirmed. Hayashi, so unfortunate. De Smet, also so unfortunate. Bastier, all these guys have skated in the World Tour portion. But here they are, just not able to get out of the repechage. But yep, me, 1.
Yes, got it. Again, sometimes when you're the athlete, you're so focused on doing your best, you really don't know what happened. I've had those moments before where I had to look at the coach, like, did I win? And he did win. He's moving on to the main event later this afternoon.
But again, I harp on it over and over again, just the growing depth. I mean, there's a World Championship medalist not getting into the semifinals this afternoon in Stan de Smet. Hayashi Kosei, a World Tour medalist, not getting into the semifinals this afternoon.
Yes, it's getting to be a deeper and deeper sport every year. That's the truth. And something that you see again when the field starts to get closer together is it's not always the strongest anymore. Sometimes it's the smartest, often it's the luckiest.
But you also have to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good.
That's true. Yes, that's true
What
too.
kind of quotable quotes will we be breaking out with today?
We should make a book of all of our
A
insights.
coffee table book.
Do the thing.
Catherine's thoughts. Do the thing. That's the headline there.
Honestly, like that's a really, it's a simple but not easy part of being an athlete. Do the thing you're supposed to do. Pick the apples, not the chips. Go to bed, don't go out. I'm serious. I'm serious. It's really these simple things. Do the thing you know you're supposed to do and watch the results.
You can give me the chips. I'll take those.
I'll take, okay, very
I'll
good.
fall on that one for you. Heat number 2, Daniel Nikolaev, Peter Riches, Friso Amons, Lee Wenlong, Toon Boer, Theo Collins, Simon Bastier, Oleg Hande. 8 guys in this one.
Go to the start. Ready.
So even just adding it up here, even if you're at the bottom of the bottom in this, when it's 36 quota spots, the bottom here is, I believe, 34. And so these guys, all of these guys in this repechage semifinal in that quota position. And like I said, each position higher in a repechage semifinal means that much better for your Olympic qualification hopes. But right now, it's the Royals on the front, Riches and Collins, and then Nikolaev is the filling, and the other half of the bread there is the Dutch Lions.
Now, I'm expecting to see Simon Bastier come up and maybe split the Dutch Lions or the Great British Royals, and he is doing that right now. Nikolaev sticking, falling to 4th position.
That is Amons now picking up the spot to tuck in behind the Royals, and he's looking to be joined by his teammates. There really will be no love lost, as it's only one spot moving through. So they wear the same kit, but they're going head to head to head to head.
Toon Boer continuing to control the pace here. We're seeing a setup for a counter-attack now from Theo Collins.
Collins trying to wind it up on the outside. Is he going to tuck in the front? Yes, he is. Inside, 6 to go.
So if I'm Theo Collins right now, I'm thinking that defense is the name of the game. I'm going to do a oh no, we've had a big fall here with Hande and
Bastier. And that also really took out Lee Wenlong, caught up around that. And so it's really down to 5 here.
More bumping in the back.
And for the lead, yes.
Whoa!
No.
Unbelievable.
3 go down. And so it's Friso Amons and Peter Riches, and then Lee Wenlong, who after all of that got caught up around the first one, but with the second one is up to 3rd, but lots will be reviewed. And so we've had a lot of close races, but this one is going to take a little extra time to be unpacked. But it's Amons, I think, who will be not a part of any review, and so confident that he will be into the semifinals. Riches second, a very good result for him in the grand scheme of things.
A lot of those points of contact happening with skaters not in qualifying position. So here's the first one. Hyundai coming up the inside. It's not dirty, it's not clean, but it just didn't work.
But he got through and then just kind of went out on his own.
There was
and
a bump.
caught up behind him. There's the other one.
Yes. We'll get more reviews of all of these points of contact. Here's Toon Boer coming up the inside. That's another elbow. Oh, that's not Toon Boer, that's Amons. Another elbow situation. I'll elbow your chin, you elbow my hip.
It is Boer there.
Oh, that was, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
so there's the elbow,
Whack.
and they both go down. And then it is Amons coming up the inside, also going down in that group, Nikolaev.
And so a Dutch Lion will be through, but there's a lot to take a look at there.
Head coach Niels Kirschultz. eyeing the screen, seeing if any of his athletes are going to get the penalty there.
It is Boer who's getting looked at for that on Collins, and that was at the front, and which could mean advancement is on the table.
So again, so many things happening in that race, so many different moves to dissect.
Rich is, even though he won't move into that top 21, a second place here, and that was the faster heat, and so he is the fastest non-qualifier.
Uh-oh, we see a bit of an injury here.
That's from the elbow to the nose. I thought I saw a little drop on the end of it, but it doesn't look too bad. But
no, something else that happens sometimes when you have glasses on is that those glasses can pinch your nose, and especially under contact if you get an elbow or a fall. So there's the elbow, there's the elbow.
That's a solid contact there.
Yeah, that hurt a little bit. And then all three going into the boards together. It's a little hard to it's hard to tell there because we've mentioned before that you do see. Okay, here's another look up the inside, shoulders even, pulling ahead, elbow elbow fall.
Yeah, that's pretty much an elbow elbow fall. And so there is advancement on the table for Boer as well, because he had gotten in front, as you like to mention. When did he get in front?
Yes, and then just to reference that first elbow, if you catch an elbow on the hip, you can spin like a top. So there is centrifugal force pulling these athletes around the ice. You have to have your shoulders, your hips, your knees, and your toes lined up in a very specific way to do this at top speed. Even 1 degree in at the hip will cause 5 degrees out at the shoulder, and now physics wins.
Short track should give you course credit at some post-secondary institution. You've done short track? Oh, we'll just advance you to your second year right now.
I agree. If anyone's listening, please call me if you can help me with that. Because it really is, you're getting a degree here in sports. You're getting a degree in team dynamics, and not just in the physics of the sport, but so many real life experiences these athletes come away from. Many of them do prioritize academics in the off years, but a lot of them are full-time professional athletes.
And so the first incident we haven't really mentioned, but from what I looked like, Hyundai got through, and then he just lost it on the corner, and Bastier was caught up behind him.
And that could be something with ice. That could be something, again, with technique. We'd have to get another check at the replay to know for sure.
Here it is. There's an elbow there. There's the elbow there.
Yep. And his shoulders are in front. So, here we go to the ice.
Final decision, penalty number 19 from Netherlands. Advancement from skater 56 from Great Britain.
And it is Toon Boer penalized in the ends, and Theo Collins into the semifinals this afternoon. And so the bloody nose, well worth it. And so it's an inside to out lane change. And he's looking, the blue line is the indicator there, just too late, I guess.
Yes, or too aggressive. Again, changing the lane isn't the problem. Causing contact on the lane change is the problem.
And so there we go. And so 3 skaters out of the repechage semifinals. Won Jun Moon from heat number 1, and 2 skaters. Friso Eamon, so a Dutch Lion does get through, but he will be joined by Theo Collins. And the semifinals, part of the afternoon World Tour program. And we get to do something completely different after this ice resurface. It's the 500 meters. And we quickly have the repechage quarterfinals and the semifinals. So it's a flood, rep quarterfinals, flood, rep semifinals. And as you can see there, 11:56 local time. That is 13 minutes from now. And we will be back with you for the next block of races.
Drodzy Państwo, Gdańsk, pierwszy raz w historii naszych zawodów, pierwszy raz w historii naszego show mamy na lodzie nie jedną, ale dwie maskotki, dlatego zróbcie dla nich wielki hałas! Tak jest, o to chodzi, kochani. Oni są dla Was, oni są po to, żebyśmy wspólnie świetnie spędzili dzisiejszy czas, a co więcej, wspólnie, abyśmy się bawili, dlatego już w tym momencie zachęcamy do wspólnej zabawy. Proszę, nie
we inch closer to the World Tour portion of Saturday. But first, we get through 500 meter for men repechage quarterfinals. A lot of speed coming up. 4 heats in all. Top 2 from each race, and a maximum of 2 fastest third-place skaters qualify for the repechage semifinals. And since that's the only thing remaining after this, we will flood the ice, come back out again, and complete the 2 500-meter repechage semifinals. But heat number 1, a home nation side, Felix Pigeon, Polish Hussar, getting a little ovation there. There's also Lee Jun-so, Daniel Abog, the Ukrainian Cobras, Martin Kolens of the Croatian Dalmatians, and Luka Jasic. We saw him put up a good result earlier in the 1500 meters. But it is Pigeon out of position 1, standing beside him, 25-year-old Lee Jun-so out of Daejeon, which is just south of Seoul.
Ready.
And it is Pigeon and Lee battling for the corner, and they all get through safely. Pigeon leading the way, Ibog closing a gap. Is it time for him to make a move? Lee leaning so far forward, getting right down onto the ice there. And now Abog into second, and Pigeon will have the Cobra ready to strike behind him. Jasic up into 4th, chasing down 3rd, and they will come up to get the bell. Felix Pigeon now just holding them off. Abog trying to close it up. It's really down to those 3, and Pigeon looking like he will go nicely wire to wire into the repechage semifinal. Abog will go with him, and Lee Jun-so will now have to watch, wait, and see. Lee unofficially a 41.45. We'll see how that result ticks down, likely, because usually the clock stops when the blade hits or when the transponder hits, but the transponder is behind the tip of the blade, so they always adjust it a little bit, and they do a little bit. 41.447 for Lee Jun-so, but Catherine, a good result for Felix Pigeon, going to wire with a couple really strong skaters putting the pressure on.
Absolutely. So here on the replay, we see a good track pattern there. Getting out a little wide on block 5, but coming back on block 7 to nail the finish. So
Pigeon, Abog going through, and Lee will have to wait for the final 3 heats to see if his time holds up. Kolens and Jasic sort of tangled up a bit, so they were a little bit off the back. And heat number 2 on the ice, Niall Tracy, who we'll see in his more preferred events, 1000s, 1500s, but here he is out of position number 1 in heat number 2, and beside him, World Championship medalist Denis Nikisha, Oleg Hyundai, after getting spun around in his fast collision with the mats earlier, Nico Anderman and Sui Shin. The Royal, the Nomad, the Wildcat, the Austrian skater, and
Go to the start.
the Hong Kong Ice Chillins.
Ready.
And the all-important start. A good start for Niall Tracy. Not bad for a guy who we see usually performing in the longer distances, especially with Denis Nikisha right there.
Absolutely, and since Wilma Boomstra took over the Kazakh program only maybe a little over a year ago, the endurance of Denis Nikisha has really improved, which is helpful for his 500. Oh, because he can hit his top speed at the end of the race, but he's got to race cleanly first.
And he went in, there was a bump with Tracy, but look at the door open for Anderman.
That was a smooth move by Anderman, straight into second.
And how about this for Oleg Hyundai, the Ukrainian Wildcat? Perhaps going into the repechage semifinal, and Anderman, the fist pump, another solid result for him. And you love it when these guys who we might not mention that often get a good result like that, potentially moving into a rep semifinal.
Absolutely, and here's the thing in speed skating, Well, in all sports, there's only one winner ever, but there's always opportunity for a personal best. There's always opportunity to learn or to accomplish a difficult pass. And it's helpful when you can give yourself those little wins, give yourself the fist bump and the pride in your effort. So we're seeing that attempted pass by Denis Nikisha. It's not sharp. There's not quite contact, but it's not a good situation, which is why it's being reviewed. Hyundai taking advantage, going up the inside. Great energy management, great speed management.
But Anderman read a situation, and that allowed him to get right up the middle, get one of those automatic qualifying spots. And yeah, in the end, no call. And so Oleg Hyundai and Nico Anderman, two guys who we might not have expected to move on, doing just that. Nikisha with a 42.345, not as quick as heat number 1.
Nikisha won't be happy with that because there was some fighting and some jockeying, so that does slow the time down. He's going to be on pins and needles waiting for the rest of these races to finish.
But he was grappling with some injury problems in Montreal, but he's looking like that speed is coming right back up again, and just we'll see if he can put it all together next weekend or if the time holds up later on this afternoon. Heat number 3, Won Jun Moon, Matsuzu Shuta of the Japanese Ninjas, Ben Jung of the German Wolves, Brendan Corey of the Australian Racing Roos, and Liu Zhan Shuo of the Hong Kong Ice Chilins. So Corey already through to the World Tour program of the 1500 and the 1000, but having to do the repechage here as the on-ice officials, again, just making sure they're just meticulous there, and they want that ice as good as it can be.
Well, and it's because these ice maintenance members have speed skating background, so they understand firsthand how important it is for the ice conditions to hold up at top speed.
And our two officials, though, just nice to see them really taking an interest
Go to the
in
start.
making sure the competition is at its best.
Ready.
And Zhang almost jumping up a position off the line, but that allows Corey, as they tucked in, to get up into third. But right now, Won Jun Moon, a guy who we've seen plenty of this weekend, with a nice gap over Matsuzu.
This is a benefit for the third place skater because closing that gap is going to bring in some pretty high speed lap times. Brendan Corey does need to keep the speed going on the outside though and set up a pass. Here's the try.
And up the inside, and he holds it, or does he? Matsuzu coming back, and he retakes it, but the door is open again for Corey, and he's a little shoved aside there perhaps, but Moon takes it. Corey gets second.
Wow, what an exciting back and forth. And that's one reason why the repechage rounds are so exciting, is because all of these skaters are fairly closely matched. Even though we're not competing for top finishing spots right now, we're seeing athletes who can all compete with each other and are forced not just to go fast, but also to be smart.
So well, all the action was happening behind him. Moon off in the front, off in the distance, taking that one. We'll just see what the time is. Matsuzu with a 42.080, and so that is faster than Denis Nikisha, and so that bumps him out. But Brendan Corey missed out on the World Tour portion of the 500 meters, at least one of the Montreal ones, but he is into the repechage semifinals here with a chance to make it for all 3 events in the World Tour portion. But it's Moon and Corey going through, and Matsuzu will watch. It's a little bit slower than Lee Jun-so's time, so if I'm Lee Jun-so, pretty confident right now with 1 heat still to go. Just patching up the finish line as they tend to do in these 500 meters. There's heat number 4, Dennis Ors, Robert Krusbergs, Mercedes Zaksabayev, Enzo Prost, and Kyle Ross-Waddell. Ors will go out of position 1, and he's exhibited some nice top speed. Look at all the high-tech gear they use to fix the ice.
Yeah, you can see it's quite a process here. Several people, each with their own individual job, filling ruts with snow, packing it down, putting ice on top, squeegeeing it smooth, and then freezing it in place with the fire extinguisher.
And here we go, one more time before the next break.
Go to restart. Ready.
And Kreuzberg's got the first jump, but Orr's the 20-year-old out of position 1, gets to tuck in there in the lead. And Kyle Ross-Waddell up from position 5, getting into 3rd, but it's Orr's and Kreuzberg's for the moment.
And Kreuzberg is making his first 500-meter A final last year at this competition. However, it was in Beijing last year, so he's looking to mirror that result and get into the final round later this afternoon.
Now that is interesting. The move for 3rd forced Kyle Ross-Waddell out wide. That is getting reviewed as Kreuzberg's goes to the lead. These two guys would be in the first 2 automatic qualifying positions, but since that was a move for 3rd, we will see if that gets reviewed and if that leads to a possible advancement. But Kreuzberg's takes it ahead of Dennis Orr's, and I don't think they have to worry about reviews or penalties, and so they will get to do that quick recovery, that quick return for the repechage semifinal as we look back on that race.
Kreuzberg's second on the line there, staying in second off the start, tucking in behind Orr's. Now, both skaters using their foot speed to build. Here's the move up the inside. Hard to tell there if shoulders are even or not, but that is being looked at by the officials right now.
And they are looking at as a possible no call, and I think that is actually what the case. So yeah, look, we can do this. Oh darn, we missed it. It was a chance to do our slow motion counting. Because I think they were shoulder to shoulder for a few seconds around that.
At least 5 seconds.
It has to be. We've known that criteria. And so yes, nothing doing in the review, and so it is Kreuzberg's and Orr's moving on. The 2 third place times, Lee Jun-so and Matsuzu Shuta, as that heat was not as quick as the other one. So another quick flood as you see the official results. And then we'll be back for these same guys in the repechage 500 meters semifinals to wrap up the morning session from here in Gdansk. And that is, we're going to be back in about 14 minutes. Check with you soon.
cały czas obronsolowy. Jest również nasz kolega Plusz, na z drugiej strony. Kolega Plusz też ma dla was fajne bitwy. Jest bardzo ważny wspólnie. Tak jest, bawmy się wspólnie. A na pewno jeszcze ostatnia technika. Ciekawe, bawmy się jest naszej dzisiejszej imprezy. Jak widzimy, celebryta dostaje autografy. Drodzy Państwo, nie bójcie się wziąć tego autograf, nie bójcie się zapozować do zdjęcia. On jest szkolony do tego, aby dobrze wyglądać na każdym fotografii. Jeśli jest fajną wycieczkę, a może nawet ciekawego historia, to on jest do Waszej dyspozycji. Nie dość, że świetnie wygląda, nie dość, że świetnie tańczy, to jeszcze jest, drodzy Państwo, szczepiony.
Two more races to come to wrap up the morning session on Saturday here in Gdansk, Poland. And you see the graphic up there now. Men's 500 meters repechage semifinals. 2 heats, 5 skaters in each. The first skater from each race will move into the quarterfinals this afternoon. And so if you will be joining us, it's the same program as we always have on World Tour. Men's 500 and 1500, women's 1,000 meters. There will be the women's relay races for the medals, and then the men's 5,000 meter relay semi-finals. And that one has some interesting teams, because as we saw yesterday, if you missed the qualifying yesterday, just incredibly unpredictable relay races that saw some teams with some really good results. You're going to see the Royals, the Latvian Golden Stars, I believe the Turkish Anatolian Pars are in, and you will not be seeing the Canadian Ice Maples. And so that's just a tease of what is to come this afternoon.
Ice Maples not progressing into the final rounds for the men's or the women's relay. They are still in the team event, in the mixed relay, but we're not quite to the final rounds yet. We're still in our repechage semifinals. These points matter because we are choosing Olympic country spots, not individual spots, but country spots. These skaters have put themselves in qualifying position to go for a country, men, to go to the Olympics in February.
So each place you finish higher up gets you closer up that top 32. These repechage semifinals, you've already done well. Now you can go that little bit higher. Moon Won-jun, Daniel Eibog, Lee Jun-so, Oleg Hyundai, Nico Anderman, your 5. And again, Moon Won-jun off to a great start.
and he's such a joy to watch. His skating is so smooth and so efficient. Ibog has his work cut out for him closing that gap, but my eyes are on Junseo Lee. He's going to plan a pass. It's just a matter of when.
That is Oleg Hyundai, who decides to get the pass on the inside. And Nico Anderman follows as Abog takes the lead at the bell. A lot going on. Almost a collision. Here comes Hyundai. What a result this would be. Just tucks in, and in the end, it's Abog just ahead of Moon. And
wow.
It looks like he will be moving on, but they will go to the photo. I still think it is Abog, though.
What an exciting race. It's something I really enjoy about watching the repechage rounds is that everybody's ability level is very close together. So we might not be racing for medals here, but we are racing for Olympic country spots. And Hyundai looking a little tired. Gosh, he's had a heavy weekend of racing.
I'm not sure if it's a smile or a grimace on his face as we look back at the replay.
Probably a grimace. So Moon gets off to the front. Here's that attempt up the inside by Hyundai. We can't quite see it. Ibog following closely, kicking a block as he moves up the inside. Moon not really giving too much space, enough to avoid contact, but not so much that he loses any speed. Hyundai holding 2 feet around that last turn. He's not quite gonna make it, but nice moving up by Hyundai past the Korean White Tiger. A little blade contact there. They are reviewing the results.
And it looks like they are official Abog going through. And so just looking, there are in the 500 meters, 4 quarterfinals. And so with 5 guys on the line, that's top 20, and so we're really filling out those last 12 quota spots. And so a guy like Oleg Hyundai jumping up to 3rd, Nico Anderman even making the repechage semifinals, and we'll keep harping on about it, but nothing but good if you're in the repechage semifinals as one of those bubble skaters trying to get those last quota spots. Heat number 2. Felix Pigeon, Robert Krusbergs, Dennis Ors, Brendan Corey, Matsuzu Shuta. Tough to handicap this one.
Well, again, the repechage rounds, everyone is typically so close together. These are all elite athletes, so we're really just, separated by thousandths or even hundredths of a second. Robert Krusbergs, typically more of a 1,000-meter, 1,500-meter skater, but showing his prowess in the 500, began having some success in that last year. The ice is taking a beating this weekend, partly because it started a little soft on the training days. They were having a really hard time getting the patches to hold yesterday. The ice crew is doing phenomenal work here. You see them packing snow into a rut in the ice. This is kind of like in golf when there's a divot and you have to go in and repair the divot. It's more or less good as new, but you do need constant maintenance, and you can only repair a patch so many times before it just isn't like the rest of the ice anymore. We did see that a lot yesterday. Skaters would hit what's called a soft spot on the ice. They do use the fire extinguisher to freeze the patch into place. That should reduce the softness of the spot, but nothing's perfect.
There was a lot of racing yesterday. Fortunately, fewer races today, and so after this, it'll get a full treatment and be fresh as a daisy when we come back for the World Tour session. Pigeon, Krusbergs, Ors, Corey, Matsuzu, the Hussar, Golden Star, Anatolian Par,
Go to the
Racing
start.
Rue, and the Ninja.
Ready.
Oh dear.
And it is only one false start. Ors barely moved. Did someone false start, or are they just bringing it back? Like, I've never seen a skater just stand like that on the line, unless he knew something that he did twitch, but.
Correct. That's pretty much the only reason you would do that. Let's take a peek here. There's yeah.
Oh boy, maybe Krusbergs?
I saw the arm on Krusbergs, but I saw a couple people. Let's see who the officials decide.
They bring them back and then they make their decision. Ors didn't even move.
Huh.
No rule violation.
No rule violation.
Go
That
to the
means they had a
start.
technical issue with the equipment on the starting gun.
There we go.
Ready.
This time cleanly away. Must be extra twitchy, but they gave it a quick start before the nerves could even settle in, and it's Pigeon, Ors, and Krusbergs right now.
Now, Kreuzberg has the advantage because he is more of an endurance athlete. He's going to keep building speed all the way to the last lap, but it's not entirely up to him. He'll have to see if the sprinters out front start to lose their pace.
He has Corey right with him. Another guy with that endurance. Pigeon has been skating very well, and Orr's so good in that slipstream, but now they're getting really compressed. Here we go, 1 to go. And Corey to third on Kreuzberg's. Trying to get up into second, one final push. Here comes Pigeon, here comes Corey, and it will be the Hussar going into the quarterfinals this afternoon.
A smooth race by Felix Pigeon, everything to be happy with there. Never really even challenged by the skaters in the back. We are only taking the winners on to the next round. There is no one going on off of time. Pigeon has that advantage being in lane 1. Orr's overtaking Kreuzberg's off the start. And it's typical in a 500, everyone gets up to speed and then the race begins. Brendan Corey moving up into second. That is a beautifully executed late inside pass. He'll finish in second, which will help him in his ranking, but it will not move him on to the main event. Felix Pigeon waving to the home crowd here.
And if it's Pigeon and Abog moving into that top 20 into the quarterfinals, Corey had the faster heat, so he will looking like 21st. And when you're going for top 32, you'll take that to the bank ahead of Moon Wonjun, who will technically be categorized in 22nd. Of course, we'll wait until official, but that's my quick calculation.
Correct.
I have an English degree, so you know,
so we can
take
trust
that
your
with
math.
a grain of salt.
And we won't know any of these results finally until next weekend when all of the results are added up and then the lowest score for each athlete is thrown out.
And so that concludes our broadcast morning here in Gdansk, Poland. You see the start time. That is 2:05 local time. That is in 1 hour and 36 minutes time. Catherine Reuter-Adamek and me will be with you on the other side as we get ready for the medal races. And so on behalf of everybody involved in putting this all together, my name is Gavin Day. Talk to you this afternoon.
与国者一起奔赴自然。